Close your eyes and listen to Jill Scott. The voice you hear is a force of nature, confident, sensual, and unapologetically Black. But open your eyes and watch her on screen. And the woman you see is often a different person entirely. This is the profound and often contradictory dichotomy that defines her public persona. A celebrated muse of musical liberation whose artistic confidence is relentlessly undermined by both a desexualizing media and her own cinematic roles. Jill Scott's voice rose to prominence as a key figure in neo soul music, a genre that celebrates Afrocentric beauty and a more authentic, relatable form of Black femininity. In works like Who is Jill Scott, Volume 1, she expertly invoked feminist critiques and themes of empowerment, connecting personal pleasure with broader liberation. Yet, even at the height of her musical career, a pervasive anti-fat bias lingered. As a widely recalled observation, some even believed her weight was holding her back, a sentiment that foreshadowed a career in which her body would be used not as a symbol of power, but as a source of her character shame. Early in Jill Scott's career, she recalls being fat shamed. In an interview, Jill Scott herself recalled a shocking incident early in her career. She says, "I got there and they were so nice to me. And I get in the car and I'm headed back to Philly, feeling like, okay, it was scary, but job well done. I'm in the car listening to the radio and they played the sound of a cow mooing under everything I said. This visceral, cruel act was not an isolated incident. It was an early sign that her body and artistry would be judged by a set of standards that would later dictate the very roles she would be offered. This public narrative is then reflected and exploited by her acting career, which frequently strips her of her sexual agency. Her most known and embarrassing role was arguably as Sheila in Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married, where she is an emotionally abused woman. The film humiliates her character by using her body as a site of shame, with her husband's cruelty reinforcing the idea that a woman of her build is unworthy of desire.
Love you. I've always loved you. What do I have to do to make it work?
Well, you could lose about 50 pounds. Then I might be somewhat attracted to you. I might.
He additionally cheats on her with a slim woman who is also on their marriage retreat. Sheila is depicted as naive to the fact that his assistant is his mistress, even though there should only be married couples amongst their friend group on the retreat, to say the least. This is a direct subversion of the confidence she projects in her music. I thought it was particularly interesting that Jill Scott acknowledged she had to gain 30 pounds for that role and wear a fat suit.
First off, this is cool. My name is Jill Scott, and I play Mara Motsoy in HBO's upcoming series, The Number One Ladies Detective Agency. I've recently had to gain weight for two of my last films, the number one ladies detective agency and Why Did I Get Married. And what's interesting to me is that people always say, you must have enjoyed gaining weight, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I think that's nuts. Well, I think if people assume if you're not a 2 or 4 or 6 or an 8 or a 10, that you just like to sit around and gain weight. And I don't think that that's fair at all. I enjoyed climbing up a flight of steps without being out of breath. I enjoyed wearing my clothes at my size. I enjoyed riding my bike. I enjoyed being myself, at the size that I was, so I just wanted to address that. I just wanted to address that one thing. I'll never understand it. The prejudice.
Yeah.
There's definitely a prejudice against heavier women in this industry, and it's ridiculous. Just the thought process and all, and what we must like and what we must be into, and things like that. It's not fair. I'm an individual.
According to People magazine, Jennifer Hudson said similarly that she has gained weight for her role as Effie in Dreamgirls. To me, this shows a pattern that there are levels to what some would consider acceptable fat, whether it's in the Black community, and that Hollywood often exploits that. Often people are less desired based on how large they are. This pattern of abuse was not an anomaly. It continued in the James Brown biopic, Get On Up, where even as an appealing woman with a summer waist, she was cast as a character who was accused of cheating and severely beaten. Even in her more praised roles, such as in the Number One Ladies Detective Agency, Jill Scott says, I got the lead role in Anthony Minghiella's The Number One Ladies Detective Agency, and I was meant to gain weight for that as well. According to People magazine, Jill Scott said she would walk to get rid of the weight and didn't want to gain weight in the first place. Even Jill Scott's real-life sensuality has sparked public controversy and double standards. This ongoing desexualization came to a head more recently when NFL linebacker Kyle Quiro posted a series of since-deleted tweets, questioning why fans found Jill Scott attractive, writing, "People are attracted to Jill Scott?" Quiro's public apology only highlighted the incident, and Scott's response, while praised as a display of class, shifted the public's focus from a discussion about the validity of a Black woman's sexuality to a narrative about Black women being unalive. Public praise for Jill Scott's body has also revealed how, even within body-positive spaces, beauty standards persist among curvy women. In 2011, Scott debuted a visibly smaller figure on the BET Awards red carpet after losing 63 pounds through diet and exercise. While she would never be thin, her motivation was to live longer and be healthy for her son.
Are you still a big girl in your mind?
I don't think I ever was. I think people had an issue with my weight, and I didn't. It wasn't like I had a problem dating whoever I wanted to or doing whatever I wanted to. It always confused me how much my weight was on people's minds. But I had a baby, and I gained like a crazy amount of weight while I was pregnant with him, and I thought, I want to be around, I want to be healthy, I want to play with him, I want to run with him. So I just jumped on my bike, I hired a trainer, we started doing crunches and play football and basketball and anything else, just because I don't like to work out. I needed to be fun. Right. So sometimes I gain it, a couple of pounds, and sometimes I lose more. I'm just not tripping on it the way everybody else is. I'm tripping about my health.
Not to conform to industry ideals. Nonetheless, the public and media responded with overwhelming approval, celebrating her curves as more glamorous, sexy, and culturally palatable. This reaction underscored how fat phobia is often repackaged as curve celebration, where bodies are only praised when their curves align with the hourglass ideal. In Scott's case, her desirability became conditional, not on her talent or presence, but on the shape her body took, as some felt was pleasing. In 2014, Jill Scott was among the many celebrities impacted by a high-profile celebrity photo hacking scandal, commonly known as the Fappening, which exposed private nude images without consent. She confirmed that one photo was of her, shared as a weight loss documentation, and asserted that the other was not authentic. On Twitter, she fiercely rejected the false accusations and victim blaming, declaring, "How quickly they forget," shaking my head. "I did nothing wrong and nothing that was your snake concern. My photo was hacked, my privacy invaded." In follow-up tweets, Scott affirmed her right to bodily autonomy, stating, "I will not be bowed. I have earned every inch of my life. What you see, you cannot touch." Her response underscored how, even in digital spaces, fat phobia and misogynistic scrutiny compound when a Black woman's body becomes a public spectacle, reaffirming that she was the victim of a privacy breach, not a perpetrator of scandal. In around, I guess you could say 2016, 2018, there was a video of her live performance where she mimed intimate gestures with her microphone, and it went viral. Many fans praised her sexual confidence, but others mocked or shamed her, calling her performance too much. Scott responded that this wasn't new for her audiences.
No, I'm loved. I'm loved and I'm honest anyway. So, It is what it is. This is the life of an artist. This is the difference between, artists and celebrity. We're supposed to bare our souls, whether it's in some kind of song or in a painting or, in a play, or we're supposed to bare our souls. That's the job. And whatever fear I had about it before, I don't have it anymore. Especially after the microphone thing. Like, like I honestly and sincerely was telling a story. And I thought about it when it, popped up on social media and everybody was like, oh my God, this is a thing. Jill Scott is. I never put a microphone in my mouth or anything. I just I made you believe I did. I was telling the story. And that's when I just found my peace with it. Like, at first I felt bad, and then I obviously had to talk to my son, but he had been to my shows and we had already had these conversations about what it was. And what it was women giving their A game to people who don't deserve it because they think they're supposed to. That's what we were talking about. And if it hadn't cut off, I'm pretty sure I said at some point, that this, it didn't deserve it.
And that her artistry had always included sensual expression. The backlash only confirmed what her acting roles had long demonstrated. The public remains deeply uncomfortable with a plus-size Black woman who takes ownership of her desire. When I was a teenager, I was drawn to the storytelling in Jill Scott's lyrics and poetry. I felt that I was living vicariously through her. Sure, her book talked about intimacy, yet even in poems like Pocket Size, she discusses the rights to autonomy and what happens when men take from women. Jill Scott is more than her physical beauty and desirability politics. She is a woman with a voice and a pen that makes people pause and contemplate and sometimes feel good. Jill Scott's career compels us to wrestle with a challenging question. In a media world still shaped by stereotypes and fat phobia, must a strong Black woman choose between representing her community and embracing her own sexuality? Put another way, is it possible to value a fuller Black body beyond its roles in service or sexuality? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment. Did you read Jill Scott's poetry book? Do you have a favorite Jill Scott album or song? And thank you so much for listening to Books and Looks TV. I'll see you next time.